we're talking about the most recent changes. So yeah, they were changes to now our database server that increases the speed across the site. But again, the tech team told me that our cache has increased. I think we had previously about 20 minutes. They said it has increased to an hour. That's not like a standard across the way because some browsers are often quicker. But that is possible that we can see wait times of like updates to be revealed.
Does it depend on, because mine was simply taking it off the front page and it took me 7 minutes. But if I were to do like an article, would it take longer or doesn't it matter?
It shouldn't make a difference like the amount of changes or where they're made to. It mostly will matter on our system's cache, but then also a visitor's browser, and then their own like computer settings. So some folks, if they're flushing their cache on their browser as well, could possibly see it even quicker than others.
Hmm. Okay, so I guess what you're saying is that it could take up to an hour, and then if it takes more than an hour, then definitely let you know, I guess.
Definitely let us know. Yeah. Because I want to be able to get not only information from you guys, but I'm going to be picking our tech team's brain some more about what really are the details of our new cache. That was kind of the quick and dirty information that they gave me.
Okay.
So now that we're in a more stable place, I'll be able to get some more information.
And I just want to say I love all these things in the slideshow. Now, are these ones like this one right here, the candidate forum, would that have been something somebody would have worked on with Canva?
Yeah, this was actually one that we did in the
Oh,
session where we talked about Canva.
right. I thought it was
Um,
okay.
yeah, and it was we created it just by using the free Canva account, so this was a totally free image. Um, yeah, we we can always have another Canva session again. I feel like that one was a little quick and but seemed somewhat helpful.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Um, any other questions? Okay. I'm gonna try and see if I can think of some questions that were asked this week. I did have a question from somebody. Let's see if I can find it. It may be on a different site. I had a question from a league where they were trying to, whoops, it's the wrong one there. Demo local. They were trying to improve their web form, their join web form. Let me go here. Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to get to this other demo site. And it might be easier to show you rather than tell you. Okay, here we go. So right now, their form is pretty straightforward. All the basic kind of questions that you ask to get their information, asking if they're a new or renewing member, have that awesome list of kind of interests. And then this down below is where I started to play around with it. So just seeing what they currently have, their goal was to try and turn that form into something similar to this once it loads. So they essentially wanted to know how they were going to pay. So I guess similar setup. I think they did have a separate question of the membership types. So they wanted to not only know if they're choosing a membership type, what that payment method would be. And then separately, they had some other questions kind of set up the same way for contribution and donation. And then just an information block. Really, this section is not asking for anything from the person. And then this, they already, the rest of it was that nice question of what are your interests?
Wow.
So coming back over to their form, again, they were asking how can we try and kind of recreate what's on that PDF form into their online form. So I was able to, and I'll show you on the back end as well how I set this up. So this heading there and the container with it, like the little outline, that's a field set. So I just put that there to contain the form components beneath it. It makes it look very similar to this, membership form because it does have that encapsulating box as well. So that was really the point of me using that field set. Then the next one here, this is a select options. So depending on which one they choose, they can choose multiple. And then the final question within this field set was the payment method. So regardless of how many or which annual dues options they have selected, they are required to select a payment method. And upon selecting one, we set it up so that it is the text field to be able to enter that specific number is coming up conditionally. And although it's coming up conditionally, it is required upon me selecting cash Zelle. So that's the good thing. We're guaranteed that somebody doesn't just like go past this accidentally. So we did, looks like we're missing the required for check number and PayPal number. But essentially the functionality of it coming up conditionally, depending upon what the payment method option is, we've set that up for all three. So let's first take a look at, oh, and before we go to the back end, I just want to show you too, this was also our solution for that text that they just wanted to display. And this is a form component called markup. Their initial like workaround or attempt at it totally works because they actually use the field set here and they just entered this text within the body of that field set. The only difference is that we can tell in the, stop, there we go. In the field set here, we don't see the formatting or automatic hyperlinks. Emails in MyLO, when we enter emails into WYSIWYG, you don't have to hyperlink them. Upon saving a page, you'll see that they hyperlink automatically. So that was another change we made, but let's look at what it all looks like in the back end. So we go to the web form. And I'm going to scroll past again what they had already built. We have all these text fields that are collecting the personal information of the member, email address, phone number, and then they're selecting if they're a new member or not, selecting what they would like to be involved in. And then here we go with the annual dues field set. So I'm going to just be opening them in a new tab and we'll jump back and forth. So the annual dues field set, I think I just simply added the label. The form key will be created automatically by the label. I made a manual change here, but that's not necessary. I only did that, I think, because I had a different form component with the same exact name. But if you're keeping your, labels unique per form component, then the form key gets created automatically. No change needed there. And then I didn't make any changes to the display, but with any field set, you can make it collapsible. And if you do, it would, be like this. You can have it collapse by default because otherwise they're just open as we see this display field set is. I do actually want to hide the label for this one. The label is this here, annual dues through June 30th. I'm hiding it because the form component that I have right below the field set has the same label. So just to be less redundant. And then I'm gonna go ahead and save. Before we take a look at that, I'm just gonna keep going through what we have. So then under the field set, you'll notice that the next one beneath it might be easier to see if I zoom in. So we see the grabby handles are off to the left. And when we go down, you'll notice that the one beneath it is off to the right of it. So it's technically not aligned. When it's off to the right, then that means it is within that form component, and here it being a field set. So that's why we saw the annual dues select options and the payment method selection options within that field set. So again, let's take a look at the options that we have for the annual dues. I'm just going to scroll past the form key and label. So we set them up with the typical, safe key portion on the left. And this time I just created that based on what we see on the right. I've said other times you can do a 1, 2, 3, 4 as your safe keys on the left. Just make sure that you have that vertical bar separating the two items. And then whatever you have on the left, use underscores instead of spaces and no special characters. And then we allowed for the choice of multiple, so that's why we get the checkbox instead of the radio buttons. And we have made it required. I'm going to go ahead and choose the list box, or actually, no, we'll leave it just as that. If you haven't seen the list box before, when you are allowing for multiple, then it will come up, something like this. And then it would allow you to choose as many. And then when you want to release those options, you just hit the little X next to it. But we'll leave that and save. And then the payment method, very similarly set up. Obviously, the options that display will be different. And then the cash and Zelle, those are simply just with the label. Again, very simply made. I didn't make any actual changes to those. The only thing I'm going to make a change of now is just requiring those, and then we're going to take a look at how the conditions are set up. Because remember, we have the payment method having to require a specific number to be provided. So we have, if the annual dues payment method is cash or Zelle, then the annual dues cash Zelle number is shown. And I do want to note that the reason it repeats annual dues through June 30th and the colon is because that's the field set name. And so again, if you have indented a specific form component under a field set, then it's kind of like its child. It's that field set's child. So that's why we see first the field set's name and then the name of whatever that form component within it was. And so we set this same exact condition up for all three. We select it to be shown and not required because if we are making it required, then it will remain showing indefinitely. But we want it to only show up when needed. And upon it showing up, because we've made it required within the form component list, then, that requirement will remain. So again, same thing for check number. We just make sure that whatever the selected option is for the first portion matches the option for that then portion. any questions? We're just going to take a look at the form again. I only made a couple of tweaks to the actual form.
I'm Maurice.
Yes.
It's Lynette. How did you get the form component to nest under the field set? Did you just do it with grabby handles?
Yeah, let's actually do that. So we have this one here. So when you are using the grabby handles, you'll slide it over to the right. It's well, let me see. I'm going to try and show you. So that was just me sliding it in at the very bottom. So that was a quick slide to the right. If you're trying to move something like this, LWVIL Education Fund tax deductible, I'm going to move that up. Let's say I'm going to move it under payment method. So if you move it up higher into the list, you don't have to slide it. It will automatically slide over for you because the one above and below are over to the right already. So that's that. And then if you want to remove items from being under that list, you can't simply, start from the top and slide out. Again, you either start from the bottom and slide them left and out, or rearrange them and then like pull them down or above that field set. But
Thank you.
yeah, I'm going to leave that one under payment method so we can take a look at that. Oops. Okay, so I've taken off the label here. I think I kind of like the label up there better than here. But we have the ability to change those up. I could go back and, instead of having this label turned on, I could hide that one and then put the label back on the field set. That's totally an option. But now we see that other one come up. I believe that I placed this above the other fields for cash, check, and PayPal. Let's see, I did. So that's worth noting too. If you have things that are only conditionally coming up, still pay attention to the order that you have them listed here. Although on the front end, it seems as if the payment method or these options might come up first. All we would have to do is rearrange those and then save down at the bottom. But I won't actually save. Any other questions? Okay. Does anybody have any questions or want to see how to set up either like the confirmation page of a form or like setting up emails?
Yeah, this is Mike. I sent an email out about the confirmation pages. I think we've got 3 of them, both for join, donate, and membership.
Okay.
And I know I can bring mine up by doing the /done.
Mm-hmm.
I just haven't figured out how to go in and edit that.
Okay, awesome. Let's get into that. So yeah, that is a very good trick to know, the /done to get to the end of the form without filling it out. To get to the back end of that, you'll go to the web form tab for that specific page, and then form settings. So if /done gets you to your confirmation page, that means you are using this confirmation message section. This is the default confirmation section where you would, make any changes. Obviously, we see some changes here already. The reason I say that's the default confirmation section is because you have the option to redirect it elsewhere. So if you wanted to have it redirect off of your site or to a separate internal page, you could do that by providing the custom URL.
So that comes there even if you don't have a web form?
Because
right now I have no web forms put in.
Oh, I see. Well, folks won't easily be able, they would only be able to reach a confirmation page if they are typing in /done at the end of the URL, which most folks don't do.
Oh, no, I was gonna put that like in PayPal. I could put that into the return, go /done to that, well, let's say join, where they actually paid the money. I would go say you've actually completed the PayPal, continue on. And right
Yeah.
now it's got the standard.
That's kind
done
of like you filled
response.
out the form.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So you have a couple of options. Here we see, well, yeah, we can just keep using this form as an example. So they currently have their payment options on their confirmation page, and that's often what we recommend. So the person fills out the form, they submit it, they get to the confirmation page, and they see these are payment options. So pretty much it's a nice way to prompt them that they're not done. And then, go on through to that payment source to do it. The other option would be if you have like a PayPal payment page, you could provide the URL to that. The only, I guess the difference, the biggest difference is that they don't get an in-between step that tells them you're moving on to make the payment. The last thing that they would see from your site would be they click the submit button, and then it would take them immediately to pay on PayPal. I don't think that that's what you're looking to do.
Let me explain it another way. So
Okay.
I can select my dues, for instance, and it goes to PayPal. And then it, whatever I select there, and it completes the transaction. And then in PayPal, I can have it come back.
Mhm.
The only problem is I'd like to come back and say, yes, you've completed your PayPal transaction. But I haven't, I can bring it back to the done page, but I can't figure out how to edit that so it says you finished PayPal. Because there's no way that I have found yet that it tells me I'm done with that. You see
Okay.
what I'm getting at?
I think so. So it sounds like you,
When you
I'm gonna
come
go ahead
back
and
from PayPal, how
masquerade
can
it.
you tell the user you're done? It did go
Right.
through.
You can, that I would recommend setting up a unique page for that.
Okay.
So it could just be a simple, title it whatever you want, and then just having that text.
Okay, have an orphan web page, and then it would say you finished PayPal, and then go back to wherever you want it to go after that.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and let Jan jump in. I think she has
Okay, I'll be quiet
done
then.
something similar. No, it'll be a collaboration.
No, we've never been able to get confirmation back from PayPal after a payment's been made. I don't know. I think you have to do that. I can't do it.
Let's play around with PayPal, because I think that Mike, you were having a similar issue earlier this week, and we've found something that might have worked for that.
Yes, I
Okay.
can get it to PayPal, and I can get it to come back after it's done.
Okay. Yeah, I think, go ahead, Jen. Jen, were you going to say something?
Sorry, I was talking and muted. Yeah, but does it actually confirm that they paid, or if they fail to pay, does it tell you that they failed to pay?
Why don't you open one up?
Yeah, the confirmation or letting you know that it didn't happen, it won't come from PayPal to the person. That is like if you have, maybe admin set up through that would be separately through PayPal. I don't think there's a way to provide notification immediately to the
the
person.
membership here, the prorated, any one of these, and we can walk through it. I can show you what I did.
Well, it was an add to cart button, right?
Yes.
And I think that's where we found
Or a
out the
buy
issue.
now. Either one, it works. If you go to edit button,
let's go to the add to cart button, because it was
go
within
down to, yep, optional settings.
the
Let's scroll back up.
variables, right?
Scroll back up a little bit. Now, this web page did work also if you've successfully checked out And then you've got the other one, cancel the checkout work, but the one below it, the advanced variables you put in, that's the one would come back after the transaction on PayPal was done, as
Right.
far as I can tell.
And that's what we were looking for.
And so here I would put in, after that shopping, whatever, I would put in exactly the page I wanted to say, yes, you've just come back basically from PayPal and your transaction is done.
Right. So this page, let's see what I actually have it reading. I think it says something like that. Or it's actually leading to someone else's site that says something like that. Yeah,
Oh.
Lynette, I'm using your page. But yeah, that is like a simple little page that you can redirect folks to. So I just want to show you guys first how it works regularly, because we figured the variable could be that workaround. So I'm just going to hold that elsewhere for now, update this and embed it somewhere. Why don't we embed it in the confirmation section here? So we'll swap that to full HTML. And we're just going to place the button by itself. All right. Sorry, it looks like I stopped masquerading. Okay. So I'm going to pretend like I'm going through the transaction. Oh, it's going to, okay, it did go through. And if we click continue shopping, we're going to see if it kicks us back to MyLO. So this is the issue with the add to cart button. Even if you tell them, you know, return the customer here, if they cancel, return them here, it's landing on the MyLO homepage. I think it's just PayPal not recognizing that my.lwv.org is, I guess they're just thinking that that's the root domain, or the root path, because there's the / and then your state league / and then your actual league. They just kind of cut off the rest. So the variable helps us to force PayPal to recognize where it should be landing to. So what was that? Shopping URL. And let's see, I'm going to actually empty these to see if that makes any difference. So I've just added in shopping underscore URL equals. That's what the variable is. And then the portion after that is just my URL from MyLO. You could have your full URL. I just used the node. But either way, I'm going to drop the little variable in the chat. And let's update this. And typically any changes you make, you'll want to go back. Where was I? Go back and edit the code. So same as we did before, just replace what's there. And I'll go down to save. I'll close some of these other pages. All right, go back. Whoops, sorry. So I'm viewing the draft and I'm just going to add on / done to get us to the confirmation section. And then same thing. Oh. I'm just noticing that this is a buy now. What, did it show up as an add to cart before? I can't recall now. Okay, so I've added something to my cart. When I click on continue shopping, it takes me to the proper page. And obviously this, well, yeah, that the fact that I've clicked continue shopping is technically like I've abandoned the cart. So it's like you've canceled the transaction. So that's the reason it would make sense that you want to word your page as such. Whatever payment they were trying to make, like letting them know, like, did you intend to close out of that or whatever the case may be. Was that answering your question, Mike?
No, because the standard done messages that are already there that I just want to finish if I
Let me
could.
go ahead and masquerade as you. Could you remind me your username?
It's just Mike Schnabel.
Okay. With a space.
No spaces.
Okay.
SCHNABLE.
It is not coming up.
Really?
Is it possibly your email address? Let's
Try
see.
that. John Schnabel.
Oops. There we go. Thank you. Okay. So I'm going to make my way over. And let's see. Which page? It's the membership
Go
form?
up to join or renew.
Join or renew. Okay.
And then just put a / at the end of it -done.
Okay.
And that's the one. I can get it back here, but it doesn't. I'd like to change that. Thank you for your submission to add some more text.
Definitely. Okay. So again, we go to web form and then form settings.
Okay.
And it doesn't show up here. It shows up as empty because that sentence is just our default. So
Okay.
it's the no results behavior. If you wanted to copy it, then I would say just manually copy it,
Okay.
paste it into that window, and then keep typing.
Because I just want to put something above it. I didn't really want to delete it because I like that part of it. I just wanted to add something ahead. So yeah, okay, I can copy it. Good. So that's where it is. Thank you.
For sure.
Yeah,
and then
it's a pain to get PayPal to come back in the right place.
yeah, but hopefully that variable resolves it. Let me know, how that goes, because if it's not a good workaround, then I definitely won't recommend it to
Okay.
many more. But this would be the place too if you wanted to put like your PayPal buttons, because then folks would finish filling out the MyLO form and then they could finish the PayPal payment. Any other questions?
Maurice.
Yeah.
I had a question about, and this is not relative to anything we're doing right now. So if it's not the time, that's okay. I was just wondering, is MyLO going to help us with this big transformation that National is starting to talk about with Chapter Spot and Stripe?
We don't have plans to, but you know how, as far as, when you're working with things like PayPal or things that are outside of MyLO, we will do what we can to help as far as connecting them to MyLO. But I don't foresee us taking on like to have formal like education about those systems, because us as a league, I don't think that we are going to be using those. I actually don't know. Chapter Spot.
We were under the opinion that it was mandatory.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure.
Because we're really happy with what we've got right now, and we don't want to do it.
I see. And this is the Chapter Spot is for the database. Is that correct?
No, it's database. It's database and integration to Stripe, which is the PayPal. And so it's a way, as I understand it, the two combine together to enable people that want to join the league to go through that portal and complete join and payment all at one time, so that the national gets paid. And then they distribute the money down to state and then down to local.
Okay, yes, I see. Yeah, I'll take back, I retract what I say, because I don't know what what our formal talks are at the state level. And obviously, as you said, if it's required across all levels, then we would, be in there too.
It's supposed to actually help leagues because they're taking doing this portal is actually taking over roster management. So the local leagues won't have to do that anymore. That will all be accomplished by the portal. But it also involves pretty major changes to our website, as we would not be using, as I'm not quite sure how these things are going to integrate, and we definitely won't be using PayPal.
Right. As more information becomes available, I'm sure it will be easier at that point for me to be able to like brush up on it. I'm imagining it would be similar to how we kind of worked through Google Analytics, and same kind of, I would imagine, same kind of concept with like PayPal payment buttons. So I think it's mostly about me finding out how that integration would work. My assumption is through an embedded button or widget, but I don't yet know yet. So yeah, I'm totally willing to help. I will say it's not a matter of, they come out with this and we're like, that's National's thing. No, we're going to be here, and especially if it's a global thing across all leagues, it would be much easier for us to kind of hold a training series all together as much as we could.
Okay, that would be fantastic. I was just, if it runs as smoothly as you're helping us with the transition to analytics, I'm not worried about that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, as I would imagine, it couldn't be too difficult unless, the system itself would be super complicated, which I wouldn't imagine, especially with it being Stripe and being pretty new. You would think it should be a little bit easier to use than the predecessors. But yeah, as long as I can get that information on it, I'm pretty sure it'll be easy for us to get it going. It's just a matter of getting the training to everybody.
Okay, thanks.
They have told all, if you attend the meetings, they have told us all that we're going to need a Stripe account, that every league's going to need a Stripe account.
Okay. Does anybody know? I could totally Google this, but is Stripe, I think you mentioned it, Lynette, is it part of PayPal?
No, the way I understand it is we would have to discontinue using PayPal and go to this totally new system.
I see. Okay.
Let me,
we have discontinued PayPal if we just use it for donations.
No, I don't think so. I think we just need it so that we can connect to when somebody joins at National, they can, and they're going to be, that they can automate the payments to us down the line.
Right. Yeah, I think it would only change the join part of our website.
Okay. Do we know what the cost will be?
They're paying for, well, I don't think there's a cost for Stripe, except maybe they take their cut, kind of like, I asked that question, but it didn't get answered. Like PayPal, probably it's got similar, they take their cut out of
whatever it is, but that's supposed to be shared across all levels.
Yeah.
As a percentage, which is,
it would have before even National gets it.
Yeah, that just doesn't seem right. We're having, anyway, state of Michigan is considering not, they're discussing ways to get around this whole thing. And another couple states are as well.
Huh.
So.
That's really good to know. If it's going to help, well, I'm not going to give opinions, but I did put the link to the information that we got from National in the chat if you're interested in looking at that. And it does have a kind of a timeline. We don't have to open a Stripe account, I think, until next September. So there is time to do this, but unfortunately, and they will allow you to join as late as after the election.
That's good.
But if you've got ways around it, I'm all ears.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. I mean, and there is a convention this upcoming year. So who knows? I know there are a lot of people who are not thrilled with this. And they weren't thrilled at the last national convention when it was voted in.
Yeah,
Our
it's a
reps
lot of
were very
movement.
upset. Yes.
Yeah, to try and coordinate so many different leagues across the nation. It's quite a big feat, to say the least.
Yes.
Another thing I learned attending one of those meetings is that Chapter Spot is coming, that it contains a web design portion. You don't have to use it, but it's there. So you might think about this might be some competition.
Yeah.
Except that I bet they're not going to have great tech support like we have with MyLO. They don't have MREs.
That's the difference. Yeah. And they won't have the same league knowledge too, being able to relate in that way with you guys and vice versa, that MyLO can relate to you guys and you guys can relate to us in that way. I think it makes things a whole lot easier, because sometimes with outside tech companies, you kind of have to be like, okay, so this is the league and this is what we do and this is how we, like, you have to do all of that background sometimes before you can get to the real true problem that you're trying to get them to resolve. So
yeah, and I don't think they're that interested in talking to local. They're more interested in talking to the national.
I could see that. That is unfortunate, but definitely could see that.
I went to one of the chapter or whatever that thing
One
is
of the
called, one of the
future framing.
websites. It to me,
Oh.
it doesn't look like it. I looked at one that was for a sorority, because that's what they do, a lot of that kind of chapter sort of. It looks like it's more for managing your roster and all that kind of stuff. It didn't seem like it was something like an externally facing website, like what we have here. It seemed more of like a self-contained thing that you have certain folks that can log in and see how things are going, but it's not. It didn't appear to be like a regular public facing website that we would use. It just didn't seem that way. It seemed more about managing the membership, managing payments and that kind of stuff. Because yeah, and less about, it didn't seem to be what I would consider, a
full-blown website.
Full-blown website.
Yeah.
So.
No, definitely.
National's not pitching it that way.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised though, because their previous, or their, whatever we would call it, Club Express, was not only the roster management, but was a full-blown website option. It would make sense that they would consider the next option to be something equivalent, at least, since I would imagine some leagues may feel like they need to follow to Chapter Spot for their website and leave Club Express. I would imagine that could happen. But yeah, I feel like as we come closer to this, we have more talks about it, and I'm all for it. So yeah, as we get more information, feel free to bring it to this group. Yeah, I'm excited to see what they'll say about Stripe, because not only are we seeing it going to be happening here, I feel like I've heard that question of, has anybody on MyLO integrated Stripe? We've seen that question a handful of times already. And we'll have a firsthand example of it soon for everybody. All right, folks, any last question?
No, just a comment. How
Yep.
long has it been since the league has went to MyLO? Do you know?
As far as how long MyLO has been up?
Yeah, because some of the people in our chapter talk about how they converted to MyLO and it from another platform and the pain that they went through to do that.
Yeah. Well, migration can always just be not fun. But as far as MyLO, all of MyLO being up, it's been since late 2017, I believe, is when we first rolled it out. Officially in 2018 was the rollout, but that's as old as MyLO is. Its predecessor was League Easy Web, and that was created in the 90s. So
Okay.
yeah, I think about 5, 6 years ago, we started to close that down and really bring MyLO up.
Well, I guess is this a final comment? I know I'm still new and I'm still struggling to learn this stuff, but I'm still also trying to make sure I do not construct any solutions that will be harder for my successor to maintain. Because the expertise on the internet and for web pages and this type of application we don't have a deep depth of knowledge in our group that I've discovered yet for this. So I've got to make sure I have simplistic solutions that can be maintained after I move on. So that's some of my challenges. Some of the stuff you show is really great, but I can't envision anybody following me that would know how to do that.
I see. Yeah.
Don't
Definitely
you know,
get
Mike,
that.
that you can't leave now?
Yeah. I, has that worked
Well,
for
they,
anybody yet?
you know, one thing that this does come up in our league a bit is, you know, I would very much like to have a backup or two, and that those skill levels don't generally are generally in younger people that are digital natives. And so they just don't walk into the door every day. So I would say the most important thing to do is find a volunteer that's willing to learn, because learning MyLO with the resources that Maurice gives us, and then this every other week training, is just an incredible opportunity for anybody to learn to do this.
Yeah, the more even to just get them, if you can get them with one toe in the door.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Because right now that's how I started. I was supposed to be just helping, and so the other person just sort of stepped away. How's that?
Yeah, there you go. Once you weren't looking, they kind of stepped away, right?
Yes, yes, yes. You can just help out on weekends, no worries.
Well, and
Many have been sucked in by things like that.
and that's why we have office hours on Fridays. It's part of the weekend.
The door is always open. You have my cell phone number. Oh, by the way, I won't tell you I keep my cell phone off. I'm sorry.
No, no worries. I think as webmasters, you deserve to have these moments where you can commiserate together in that way.
Yeah.
I
keep telling
love how
myself,
everyone's just yes, yes, yes.
you've been very helpful in everything, but I always in the back of my mind say, have to remind myself the cavalry might not come.
This
That's
is a
enough.
very noble position. We know that it is one that there aren't too many folks that are like, oh, me. So
Yes. Yeah.
you are the chosen few.
Yeah.
All right. I always enjoy our sessions. This one especially. If anybody has, any questions that we maybe didn't get to, we could stick around or send them in the Google group or directly to me. But I'll be around. And yeah, we're going to have the next session on December 1st. Go ahead, Mary Jo.
Maurice, just to clarify, so what your team was doing in terms of all the issues, you're finished?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Yeah. The improvements to the server are done there.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
That was fast.
Thanks if you think so. I
Yeah.
I
I do think it was fast. I mean, it
well, I'm
wasn't
glad.
months and months. Yeah.
I'm glad.
It
I
does seem to
just
keep logging me off every
does
now
it
and then. Yes.
What?
where are you experiencing that, Mike? Yeah, I definitely want
I
to know
used to
about that.
I used to log on and just shut my computer off and come back the next day and I was still logged on. And now I'm on a page and I go away from it, I come back and I'm logged off already.
Well, that was happening, but that should be fixed, right, Anna Marie?
Yeah, it should be fixed now. Would you be able to, let's see, I'm wondering how can I go about
I'll keep
this?
monitoring it and I'll document it better than just.
Yeah, let me know because it was yesterday I didn't make an update to you guys because it seemed like it wasn't happening anymore, but I didn't want to make my comment too soon. And then once I saw pretty much all of yesterday, I was going through all the pages where it was affecting me previously and I wasn't seeing it. We should have
Yeah.
seen the resolution by today. But if you were traveling yesterday around the site, Mike, there's a good chance it was still popping up. But yeah,
Yeah,
let me know about
days ago,
today.
I was editing a web page and then I would, promote it to, save it to draft and come back to view it and I'd be logged off already.
Yeah, that definitely was happening a couple days ago for sure. But
And
yeah,
then I
let me know
promote
if
some
it's
things
still.
to production or published it. And then I would look at it and it wouldn't be there. I'd have to wait a few minutes before it actually would show up.
Yeah, and that is part of the cache. It is going to take a little bit
Okay.
for things to show up. Mary Jo, did I see your
So I
hand?
just want to make sure he's realizing what you're saying, because as I said, it's working now for me. Although it took me 7 minutes to have it updated, and what you explained was it could even take up to an hour.
Mhm.
But can you clear your cache, physically clear your own cache and refresh, and then you'd see it?
You can, that would improve the time in which you would see it. But there isn't a guarantee that, as soon as you clear the cache, you're going to see it right then and there. The other thing that we can do on our end is flush the cache. We don't regularly do that. But that's typically our first go-to solution if you're seeing, changes not showing up after a good amount of time. You could just reach out to us and ask us if we can make that happen. But again, it isn't a guarantee that they're coming up immediately, but it means that they should be coming up sooner than before the cache was cleared.
Amaris,
Mhm.
how do you actually clear a cache? Is that just refreshing the page you're on?
You can do it by clearing your browser history. So I'm on Google Chrome. If I go to history, and then history again, I guess Control H is the quick way to get there. Clear browsing data. That will open up a new tab. And you can just go as far as browsing history, download history. I'm always wary of cookies because I love to keep myself signed in everywhere. But that may be worth trying. But you see what I typically have selected, and that's what I clear. Actually, sometimes I clear the site settings and hosted app data. But that is what I clear. And again, as I said, if you are brave enough and are wanting to see, oops, I'm going to open that again. Clear browsing data. If you are wanting to test to see if this would help further things along, then you can select even more from there and then clear again.
Okay, thank you. So that's just Google history and settings.
Mm-hmm. I think with any browser, let's see, if you type Control H, it will bring that same thing up. So Control H, let's see, Control H. Yep. So
Oh, okay.
the other browser that I just tested it on before this one, this was, what is this? Mozilla Firefox. Yeah, so Control H. For Mozilla, how do I clear it though? Okay, I guess delete. But yeah, if you had any like worries about how to delete it, you could probably do an online search, quickly Google how to safely delete history on whatever specific browser you're on.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Maurice, I'm gonna
Mhm.
just, this reminds me, sometimes when I'm working on Constant Contact, I have issues. And so I don't know, somebody told me to do this, but I go into the hidden.
Oh, like an incognito?
Yeah, incognito. Would that, can you share what information you know about that, that when we would maybe need to use that,
Um,
or what you know about it?
so this is mostly what I know about it. The fact that it does not save the following information, it essentially does not have the same cache that your regular tabs or your regular browser does, like the non-incognito. So you may see, like if you're in the middle of trying to see your updates, you may see a difference between it in the incognito tab and the regular. But I have not tested that myself. I'm just kind of speculating based on how we're talking about the cache and how we do know how it operates.
Well, all I know is that sometimes when I'm in just Chrome and trying to edit and paste in Constant Contact and I can't do it, but I don't know why, then I go into the incognito and sometimes I can do it. So I don't know what that means.
How funny.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know how I discovered it, but
I mean, the incognito tab is definitely helpful in some situations when you're trying to, you know, really see what someone else might be, or, you know, not your typical browser, since your other non-incognito tabs would usually have all your history and the cookies and all that.
yeah. Thank you.
Anything else?
You shouldn't ask that.
Yeah, I'm opening up a
Yeah.
can of worms.
We just like to be together so much.
I
I'm
agree.
gonna run. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy
Happy
Thanksgiving. All
Thanksgiving.
right. Yeah, I think that'll give us the cue to head
Yeah.
on out as well. All right,
Bye,
folks.
everybody. Thank
Bye.
you.
We'll see each other
Thank
in 2
you.
weeks, if not before then. And happy Thanksgiving.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye, folks.